It's time to down tools for a bit. Welcome to the ToolShed, the influential podcast for anyone and everyone involved in the building industry. Here's your host, Mick Hawes.
Hey there, before we kick off, I want to share a really important thought. 71% of you who watch this channel frequently don't subscribe. So if you've enjoyed any video you've ever watched, can you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button? It helps the channel more than you think, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests get. So let's go. Hey folks, welcome to another episode of the ToolShed Podcast. On this episode, speaking to Daniel Morton, and he's from Adelaide Green Homes in Adelaide, which is kind of in the title, but we'll get to that. And we're going to sort of unpack all things design and green homes and find out what that actually means as well. Before we get started, just wanted to remind you, if you haven't yet done the Builder's Freedom Readiness Scorecard, there is a link in the description. All you need to do is click the link, answer a couple of questions. It'll take around about 90 to 120 seconds, depending on how much of a speed reader you are and how quickly you make decisions, can answer questions, but it won't take long. And it will give you a score, and based on that score, we'll send you out some suggestions as to what you can begin to work on to gain more freedom from a time perspective, so gain a bit more time freedom, but also gain some financial progress as well. Like eliminating financial stress is really important in most small businesses. And this will give you some ideas as to where you can start to begin to eliminate that financial stress if you're experiencing it. So a good investment of time. There's Daniel. And he's in Adelaide Green Homes. You are one of the directors, correct?
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Excellent. Well, welcome to the podcast, and I feel that I'm going to learn quite a bit today because I'm not a builder, I'm a business coach, and many of our clients talk about green homes and the importance of design, and it's becoming more and more and more important. So I'm very, very keen to learn as much as I can through this conversation. To get started, the question that I always ask is, how did we end up here? Like, how did you end up getting involved in the building industry and then eventually in this niche of green homes? What's your story?
What's my story? Started off as a plumber, early days, did my apprenticeship, which is actually a lot of general building, carpentry, roofing, plumbing, kind of did that traditional apprenticeship, and then moved to the city, to Adelaide, from the country, and did my first couple of projects under the guidance of my uncle, who was actually a real estate agent, some developments, and then that sort of moved into building custom homes, and essentially got an interest in sustainability, and started Adelaide Green Homes and built that up over the last 10 years to be what it is today.
So what caused the focus or what captured your imagination in relation to sustainability? I mean, it's fairly well thought about, and it's kind of at the top of many people's minds now, but back then it wasn't. People just built homes as they did. What captured your imagination?
I'd like to give you a fluffy green answer, but the honest truth in it is, just building. I love building, and building green homes is interesting. There's a lot of more detail that has to go into it, and thought processes around airtightness, and especially in the design phase as well, the passive elements of the home. So, it kind of brings another layer to construction above what your standard homes are built as, and I find that really interesting, that side of it. So it was just lucky that there's a great market for it here in Adelaide, and we've been able to commercialise it and push the brand with that in mind. So, yeah.
So help me to understand what really makes up a green home, because I'm assuming it's obviously you've mentioned the home performance, so airflow or air tightness and things like that. I'm assuming that the materials that you use, double glazed, triple glazed windows, all of that sort of stuff. But does it also include how or the types of materials that you source to actually build the home with? And also, does it include the building process? Like I've spoken to guys in the past that are really passionate about eliminating waste and what sort of waste that even when the home is being used, it eliminates. So can you help me understand what are all of the moving parts that in your mind make a green home?
I guess if you start at the design phase, you got to look at the climate zone. You know, if you're in a colder climate zone in the Adelaide Hills, you want a darker roof. If you're in a dry, hot, arid area, you want a reflective roof. So it does come down to colour choices, the orientation of the home. So, you know, in a colder climate, you want to get that northerly aspect to get that winter sun into the home and heat it up for free. You know, you're not using your energy to do that. And then, you know, if you're near the coast and you get those cooler prevailing breezes in the design phase, you want to be able to capture them. So starts at the design phase from that aspect. And then your materials that you use, more sustainable. One of them is WeatherTex cladding that we use. Obviously, the longevity of the product comes in the sustainability of it as well. More under slab insulation, slab edge protection. So your material choices come in a lot too. And then when it comes to the construction of the home, we do a lot of off-site construction as well with a company here in South Australia that does pre-built panels for us, and that takes away the waste. And then when we're on site and we're actually building the homes, our waste company separates the materials into recyclable piles, so to speak. So there's a lot of kind of construction elements, design elements that go into making it more sustainable. And then probably the final piece, which is in the detailing, is the airtightness of a home. You know, you can have the best materials and the best design home, but unless it's airtight, it's you know, it's just going to leak cold air from the outside. It doesn't make any difference. So yeah, airtightness is a very big part of the homes, and you have to watch how airtight the homes are as well, because if you do build them too airtight, then you know, they don't ventilate very well. So mechanical ventilation is a big part of it as well. So yeah, there's kind of a bit of science behind it and methodologies that all have to be put together to create a sustainable home. And I guess for me, that's what makes it so interesting.
So just explain a little bit about the air tightness, because as you were saying that, I'd just imagine everyone shuts the door and then everyone wakes up dead the next day because there's no air in the place. Exactly. Like it's completely sealed off. So it's not about being completely sealed off. There has to be some ventilation, I'm assuming. So how do you work out the balance of air tightness and still being able to breathe?
So we constantly get a blower door test done on the homes once they're completed. And there's a rating that I think it's 5 air changes an hour. Once you get underneath that rating, it's by law you have to have mechanical ventilation. So we're always around that mark with our green homes. Like the industry standard's 13 or 14. So having it around that rating is a nice balance, that you're not making them so airtight like a passive home that you have to have ventilation everywhere, but it is much more comfortable to live in the homes. Yeah, they perform really well. So, and it's getting a balance for the owners as well. You can go down a rabbit hole quite quickly with the sustainability of homes and add a lot of cost to the clients. So I was kind of trying to find that balance by giving them a good net result and also giving them an affordable custom home. So that's kind of the brand ethos, is making it affordable but also comfortable.
Yeah, cool. What is the difference between what you're calling a green home and what I've heard the term coined a healthy home? Is there any difference in your mind? Are they two completely different things, or are they just a different term for the same thing?
It's a different term for the same thing. I guess it depends on the builder and their methodologies and what they if you look at the volume builders here in Adelaide, they all put on their websites now green homes, but they're just meeting the energy rating. You know, if you went and did an air test on it, they'd be woeful. So the healthy home, green home thing, it's kind of washed in together in some instances, but it does depend on the builder and what they do in a detailing sense.
Yep. I can't remember where I saw it. It might have been Grand Designs or some building show when they were talking about healthy homes. One of the guys was really adamant about how the electrical was even laid out in the home for electromagnetic fields and health that way, and no Wi-Fi and all of this sort of stuff. Do you get into that, or is it purely just the insulative qualities and the airflow and all of that to make it a green home? So it's energy efficient, I guess.
Energy efficient, that's right. So the quality of the air in the home by ventilation if it needs it, and the comfort of the home, so that ultimately a green home is being comfort and less energy used. So you're using solar, you're using batteries, you're making it more comfortable for the homeowner. Yeah. So
let's talk about the expense of a green home versus, and as you were saying, like there's plenty of builders who have the green home information on their site, but they're not necessarily building a green home the way that you're explaining it, with the quality and the air transfer and all of that sort of stuff. But to build something at the level of quality that you're talking about and that you guys build, is it any more expensive initially to build a home that way? I mean, it sounds like there's a bit more that goes into the thought process before you even get started as far as the design is concerned. So, there's got to be an investment in that. But apart from that, in the construction, the actual creation of the building itself, is it any more expensive, or is it you're just paying for smarter design?
I mean, when we first started, double glazed windows were, really expensive, and it probably did add a lot of cost to the home. But double glazed windows are becoming more and more standard now, so that element of it doesn't add a lot more cost. Maybe $5,000 to $10,000 per home on a smaller home. The bigger homes obviously get up there, but probably the biggest cost difference is in our walling system. We use a 140 stud externally with R4 insulation, sort of anywhere between 10 and 20,000 will add to a home. So average base sort of 300 square meter custom home, you might add 30 to 40,000 in the extras that we do above, a lot of standard custom home builders. But if you look at that as a net result on the other end for the owner, it's a great investment. So obviously, if they were buying the house, building it, and flipping it, they're not going to get the result. But if it's a homeowner that's going to live in that house for 5 or 10 years, it's certainly the net result on the other end is far outweighing what they put in up front.
So give us an example of that, because that's interesting in and of itself, that if I'm building a home and I'm not, maybe it's my forever home and I'm going to be living there for another 10, 15 years, what have you, and it costs me an extra $30,000, $40,000 compared to a standard built home. How does that work? What's is there a financial benefit? I mean, I can see that there's also a comfort benefit, like that's much more comfortable living in a home that is naturally warmer and you don't need all of the energy to, you walk in and it's cold. I know that when we walk into this place, because it's got such big thermal mass and windows at the front, at the top, you just walk in, it's freezing cold. I'm in Tasmania. You walk in some days and it's super cold outside and you just walk in, the heater's not on, but it's just beautiful and warm. So there's that aspect to it. But from a mathematical point of view, what would you be looking at, over a 10 to 15 year term?
Well, let's say that $1,500 a quarter for your power bills, $6,000 a year, $60,000 over the 10 years. You've well and truly paid that investment back. Plus the value of the home. A purchaser is going to look at that as a good thing and want to pay more for the home. And then obviously you've made those savings and you've made the comfort along the way. So yeah, I generally advise after 5 to 6 years you've paid that investment back from building a green home.
Yeah. So let us in on some of your secrets as far as the internal stuff. Like you mentioned that depending on where you are, you might have a reflective roof or you might have a dark roof or what have you on the outside and the materials for outside. Is there important considerations of the internal layout design of a home to make it greener that, we probably wouldn't have thought of we tend to design things so, it works flow-wise and I like the look of it and all of that sort of stuff, but we've got to consider the functionality.
Yeah, airflow, definitely. So obviously thinking about the external of the home, you're going to want to know where those prevailing breezes are and getting those cooling breezes into the home if you're in a hot area, and locating your windows and your rooms internally so you can get that cross-flow ventilation. Then I'd say it's segmenting areas so that, let's say you spend a lot of time in your living area and you have that northern sun going there and you want that mainly to be the area that stays warm, then you'd probably want to put a door in that area to segment that heat and keep it comfortable rather than having it open to the rest of the house that, say, might be on the south side and doesn't get as much of that northerly sun to heat the home up. So certainly segmenting areas of the home is a big thing within the internal layout. And then having thermal mass internally as well. We do a lot of reverse brick veneer, solid stone walls around fireplaces to store that heat that is captured during the day and release it during the night. So there's some little tricks you can do internally like that to increase the efficiency of the home for sure.
And what about insulation? What's the sort of latest and greatest approach to that sort of stuff? Is it just in the materials that you use, or is it also as like the construction techniques that you use to get those really high insulation values?
Yeah, I mean, we'll insulate as much as we can possibly. So R4 externally, R6 in the ceilings. We do R1.5 on the internal walls. And then obviously, as I said before, the next biggest thing is just making sure we're airtight. So our penetrations get sealed. So your services penetrations coming into the building are sealed through your air wrap. All your air walling wrap on the outside is taped to your windows, taped in properly. So there's a lot of detailing that goes in to make sure that airtightness is achieved. Because the insulation might be there, but if you're not airtight, it's you're kind of getting a failure as well. So.
Yeah. So tell me about the Adelaide Green Homes experience, because I've got a big picture in front of me, and you say that you're upgrading the website, but I'm looking at the current one, and it's got a big group picture. There's a lot of people in this picture, so I'm assuming you kind of give the client the experience from soup to nuts. You do everything from the design to the finished product, I'm assuming, and everything in between.
Yeah, so we got 34 staff in the team. Wow. They go from salespeople. When I say a salesperson, that's someone that when you first inquire, they'll basically answer all your questions, meet with you multiple times, show you through our display homes, show you through our selection centres, and then they'll guide you through the process with our architects or designers internally. We have a team that will design the house up 3D renders. We obviously have administrative and workflow people, and then we have a site team as well that does the construction accounts. So there's a whole flow that goes with the client experience. I'm actually the owner of a software company, JackApp, as well, which is a major part of our success over the last 4 years that has helped us grow to the size we are today.
Now, that's triggered something in my brain. I'm sure we've had a guest on the podcast.
Yeah, fellow founder Liam. He's been on in the early days. So
there you go.
He was the finance man, and I was the builder brain behind the software.
Yep. And so JackApp is it like a separate thing to Adelaide Green Homes to you, or?
Yeah, so I'm a director of Adelaide Green Homes. JackApp is a completely separate company.
Yep.
I don't do any day-to-day in Adelaide Green Homes now. I'm on a board level, and I'm basically just run JackApp.
So, like there are so many different building companies around, and the client experience is always very, very different depending on which builder that you end up going with. But again, looking at this team, I get a sense that the client experience is going to be much better when you've got a team of experts in specific areas versus a builder that kind of has to learn how to do everything. Like one guy who takes the phone call, does the introductions, and then gathers all of the information, and then manages the project and on site and all of that, and then the finances and the invoices and the extras and all of that sort of stuff. It's got to be a more frictionless, lubricated experience for the client, when you've got a team of experts, surely.
Yeah, I mean, when we first started off, it was do it all yourself and spreadsheets and chaos. But as we grew and got better, then we were able to get very specialized people in for specific roles that were really good at what they did. And I mean, as our company got bigger, it's gotten easier for me as an owner because being able to hire better people, much smarter than myself to help me run the company. Obviously, keep the vision that I've got for the company and keep pushing forward where we want to take it, but getting experts, really good people in, pay them well, look after them, has helped the company accelerate. So
yeah,
that's a big part, is having those people in there to give that client experience, rather than trying to penny pinch and kind of cut back on that client experience with poor performers internally. That's been a big part of our success.
Yeah. I'd love to hear how the conversation goes, or whether maybe your marketing positioning communicates this for you. But I'm a massive believer in that a builder's product is the quality of the client's experience. Like that, it's not about the house at the end of the driveway, the house on the hill, because people don't remember what you said or what you did. They remember how you made them feel. And to me, it's all about the client experience.
Yeah,
it's relationships based. So there's got to be an extra cost to this because there's such a big team. So what's the conversation you have with your prospects about that to help them to understand that there may be, this may be more expensive than the guy who's, got the ute and he's doing everything, but the experience is completely different.
I don't know about more expensive. We're actually very competitive because we're so efficient with our systems and procedures. I mean, we turn over 70 mil a year with 35 staff, so it's not it's a fair operation for the amount of people that we have and what we can achieve. And they're all high end, custom, pretty difficult homes. It's more explaining I guess in our marketing message, it's showing people the product, as you say, that they see speaks for itself. But when they walk in, it's very clear and concise what they're about to go through and how we're going to do it. And it's on a personal level with a staff member at each stage that's a professional, and they've got clarity with that staff member where they're going to next. I'll give you an example. When a salesperson has sold the job and signed the contract, as soon as they're signing the contract, our admin person walks in the room, greets them, shows them around the office, spends 15 minutes with them, and they form that relationship before the next step in the process starts. When our construction manager picks the job up, he'll go and see them at their own home after hours, greet them, make them feel comfortable, tell them about the plan, who's he's put as the site manager, make them feel welcome and a part of the team. Talk to the clients after hours. So it's all that procedures and then putting the client-friendly touch on it. It's been a big part of.
It seems to me like that you're really, really strong on the communication side of things. And having been around this space for so long, I've heard so many nightmare experiences told to me from a client's point of view that the communication was just not so much non-existent, but that there wasn't, this flow of communication. It wasn't smooth. And if the builder didn't have anything that they needed to tell them, there was sort of radio silence. And from a client's point of view, I think that's an awful experience. Like if you're selling a house or selling a boat or something like that and nothing's happening and you're not getting the information, you're not getting some sort of update on a regular basis, you start to make up stories. Yeah. So how important is that to you that you have not only a good flow of communication but quality communication?
Oh, it's number one. The client needs to know where you're at all the time. Otherwise, they can spin out of control. If you get an anxious client that all of a sudden feels like you're not in control of their project, then their emotions can spin out of control. So you can't always assume that you've got it under control. You've got to kind of stay that next step ahead and try and not be a defender, sort of be on that front foot to keep the client up to date, to keep them informed. Yesterday, I saw a daily log. We had a leak in a balcony because we hadn't been able to get the waterproofing done for a lower story of a new home. Site manager updated and said, "Hey guys, saw a roof leak. Here's some photos. This is why it's here. We've got the guys on site next week, and this is why it's happened." But he was able to get on the front foot with that, and I'm sure that instead of the client walking in there over the weekend and seeing it and kind of freaking out, so to speak, our guys are getting on the front foot. So I think integrity is a big part of communication as well. Being honest and open whenever things come up, and people appreciate that. There's no point beating around the bush with things.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point because, if you've been around building for any more than 5 minutes, you will realise that something always goes wrong. Like there isn't a project where something doesn't go wrong. And I think that what can make an absolute fan out of the, turn the client into a raving fan is how you deal with things when things go wrong. That to me makes the biggest difference. What's your philosophy around that?
Well, my thoughts are everyone in their life experiences issues with what they do, and if an issue pops up and you're quick to resolve it and have integrity about it, then they're not worried about things not getting fixed when they do pop up. It's kind of setting the scene, so to speak, that you do have that integrity, and as soon as you can prove that to your client, then they can be more relaxed, because people understand how much goes into building. And if a schedule slips by a week and you're on the front foot and telling the client before the event occurs, they're like, okay, well, this guy's in control. He knows and can foresee this happening. So it's just staying on the front foot. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and it's building that relationship, like establishing the trust in the first place, but then delivering on that relationship and then maintaining it even after handover. There's marvelous opportunities to stay connected with past clients, and they become part of your cheer squad and tell everyone else about you and all of that sort of stuff. And what I see many builders, like after they've done the handover, it's you're in the past. And to me, that's a massive opportunity missed. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our warranty process is something we really, really focus on post handover to keep those quality relationships. So we have two carpenters that essentially will do any defect maintenance, that can do painting, kind of any works that need to be done post handover. So if a client rings up and says, "Hey, my door handle's sticking," it's not us saying, "Oh, we'll chase the contractor up and get him to come out." And within a few days, we've got someone out there. We're gonna get this sorted for you. And we also have a warranty manager / safety detailing expert that jumps onto anything. So if our trades can't get out there, there's someone on site the next day to talk to the client about the issue. If their front door's bowed, or there's a skirting tile that's got a crack in it. Any of these small things. The problem is, being a builder is, you hear these things. Oh, that's nothing, we'll get that fixed. But to a homeowner, they don't realise how easy it is to fix, and they get 5 or 6 of those things in their home. They think the place is falling apart, and if you don't get there within a day and address it, it can spin out of control really quickly. And full well you've built a beautiful high-end home, but that last little finishing touch in communication in the warranty phase can then send things sideways quick. So we really focus on delivering that service afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, prevention is definitely better than the cure. So over communicating, and even if you're not there, immediately let them know what's going on, and so you're there, and they just get kept in the loop. So super important. Adelaide Green Homes, is it just in Adelaide? What's the area that you guys take care of geographically?
Yeah, so centre of Adelaide, 40 to 50 kilometres either side of the CBD. Try not to go too much further than that at the moment. There's plenty of work here, so we don't have to spread our wings too far. It's pretty localised, so we're lucky.
Yeah, cool. And best way for somebody who's in that circle around Adelaide to get in touch with you? Is it just the website? Reach out?
Yeah, just the website. We have a display home up in Newnham, Mount Barker, which is sort of 40 minutes out of Adelaide. So if you want to go see our sales consultant up there on a weekend or a Wednesday, they can get a look through. Yeah.
And what's the fundamental experience that they could expect? So they've made a time to come and see you guys. What's the process that they'll experience?
They'll be greeted at the door, given a brochure. We generally do a questionnaire to find out a bit more about what their I guess, wanting out of their new home, what their budget is. Budget's kind of the first point, trying to find out what that is, because that seems to be the biggest resistance. If people haven't got enough money to build a new home, it's pretty hard to get them over the line. So we kind of vet them out with that questionnaire, and then from there we'll do a meet and greet with our designers and talk about their brief, and then from there it's get into the design of the home and the selections.
And again, just looking at the website, listening to what you're saying, and getting an understanding of what you believe and how you've built this business in this way, it seems to me like you've got a very high level of commitment to professionalism, which is really cool, because being in this space for a long time and working with so many builders have many problems with their businesses, but many of those problems are created through them not really taking a professional approach to the business,
Yes, systems and procedures. Without those, you could be the smartest person on earth. There is, in a house, there's 1,000 items, 2,000 items that go into a house. If you don't have a system to back all that up, it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to fail. So I think the success of a builder is putting a system and procedure in place to track things and understand, where they're at. It certainly was a big part of our company scaling. As soon as we did that, it took off.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. Thank you very much for taking the time to come onto the podcast. Tell us about Adelaide Green Homes and your philosophy. Hopefully it will inspire other builders listening to this podcast, because it really is the builder is the master of his own or her own destiny, and it comes down to the choices that they make and how professional they become. And it is a matter of experience. I'm sure you didn't hit the ground running and have the business the way it is now immediately. It's taken a lot of trial and error and mistakes, and I guess that's a really important thing that contributes to success as well, is when you do make a mistake, what do you do with it? How do you do you learn from it, or do you go, well, shit happens and ignore it? It really has a big impact on to the growth and the professionalism of the business. So it's obviously you're doing many things right, and it's great to see. So thanks very much for being on the show.
Mate. Thank you. Appreciate it.
There you go, folks. That's another episode of the ToolShed podcast. Lots of really cool information in there about professionalism, about systems, about processes, about having a team. And I just love that whole process or whole thought process of surrounding yourself with people who are outstanding at each of the various parts, rather than trying to, one person, the builder, trying to cover everything. And obviously, many builders, that's where you start. But I just encourage you to start to look for, other people that you can bring into your business that really improve the quality of the client's experience, because that is the product. So I hope that makes sense. Last reminder before we get out of here: jump onto the tool, the link for the Builders Freedom Readiness Scorecard. As I said, about 90 seconds to 2 minutes to do it, and you get some really cool stuff in your inbox to help you identify what you can start to work on to get a little more time freedom and a little more financial freedom from your business as well. We'll be back with another episode of the ToolShed podcast. Before you know it, I'm Mick Hawes from Builders Business Black Belt. That is all. I'm out. Bye for now.
You've been listening to the ToolShed. If this podcast struck a chord with you, make sure you spread the word by sharing it with your mates in the building industry. We love your help to make the building industry better for everyone involved.